How you start your website should be like how you start your day. I like to start with a fresh shave and a filtered shower. Then I'll prepare a fresh cup of Brita water to heat it up.
He's heating up.
Before I get a scoop or two of fresh ground coffee. I'll pour in the hot water into my French press. Then I'll let it brew, and this is where you gotta be patient, y'all. So in the meantime, I'll continue preparing by adding almond milk because the regular milk just don't do the body good, if you know what I mean. Let's top it off with a little bit of that sugar, and yes, I said sugar, right before we press that launch button. And now it's time for blast off. Let's go! Woo! Oh yeah, and don't forget to stir it up some to blend in those flavors.
He's on fire.
And that's how we start Fresh on WordPress.
He's on fire.
Here we go. It's that Mario right there. Welcome to lesson 3. In this lesson, we're going to discuss customizing your theme. And I'm just going to give you an overview on customizing your theme, depending on which direction that you want to go. And then I'll save the meat and potatoes for the official Start Fresh on WordPress course. So when it comes to customizing your theme, you got to think about, do you want to use, or are you using a classic traditional theme, or are you using a block-based, also known as a full site editing theme? Because there is a big difference. Right now, if I go to Appearance and I click on Themes, you can see that I have the 2024 theme already activated on this WordPress installation. Normally, you would see multiple themes if I had another theme installed, even if it's not activated. And you can only activate one theme at a time. So while I'm here, I'm going to install a classic or a traditional theme. That way we have both and we can see how they interact side by side and the differences between the experience when you're using one versus the other. So for those of y'all who know me, you know I rocks with Cadence. And for those of y'all who don't, well, you just found out. So let's install Cadence right here. That's all we need to do. I'm not going to activate it. See how it says the button activate right there? I'm not clicking that button. That's one of those times where you don't want to touch the button. And if you got anybody who has kids or you got kids, you know how it be when you tell them don't touch something, they touch it anyway. This is a case where you don't want to touch the button, okay? All right, right now I have the 2024 theme activated and ready. And then I got Cadence in the background ready to be activated when it's time to go in that direction. So for the 2024 theme, and when you're watching this video, you may be using the 2025 theme. I've heard some things about it and they have been very positive. So I'm excited to see the 2025 theme come out. But right now, what we got 2024. Let me go to the editor, and this is what's called the site editor. Now, if I had Cadence activated, it would be called the customizer and you would see more options, but we ain't there yet. Right now, we're looking at the editor. So I'm gonna click this button here. And now you'll see I'm in a whole different interface. Even though I'm still in WordPress, I'm still in my admin, I'm still in the back end, but I'm in a different interface when it comes to the customization of my theme, of the styling of my website. So again, if you're new to WordPress, this is foreign to you. If you're not new to WordPress, this might be a little familiar to you. We have navigation, styles, pages, templates, and patterns. Now, when you watch this video, because this is changing depending on, contributors, depending on feedback, depending on the updates that they get, this may look a little different. I can't ensure you that it won't or it will, but I'm just giving you a heads up that it may look a little different. But this is what we got right now. So for navigation, I'm going to click navigation here and see that we only have a sample page because this is a fresh installation of WordPress. This is a new website. I haven't done anything with it because I wanted y'all to get the freshness of, or the most fresherness of the possibilities that you can see. That probably didn't make sense to y'all, but it's all right. For navigation, we can click this edit button here. And now we're in the WordPress editor or Gutenberg, except we're not in the scenario where we're editing or creating a page, because I know this can confuse some people. The interface looks very familiar, but it's like you're in a different place in the house. And so right now we're in the navigation, right? We can rename it. We can move it to the trash. I don't want to do that. And we can click it right here. See, we have sample. If I want to edit this menu, I would click this. And now we can add more blocks. We can add another page link, or we can create a list, or we can even add a button. There's a few things we can do, such as a custom link. There's a few things that we can do here in the navigation area. So just keep that in mind. That's how this works when it comes to being in the site editor and using a full site editing theme or a block-based theme. So keep that in mind, that is this experience here. For adding colors to the site, let's go back. So that was the navigation when you want to add other pages or you want to update your navigation menu, because it did look different before. And a lot of people that are coming from the old ways of WordPress to the new modern ways of WordPress, and it could be a little confusing. I know for me it was. I'm gonna click the back button here, and then now we have styles. So when I'm talking about styles, I'm not talking about Styles P the rapper. I'm not talking about what's your style or what's your clothing style, your fashion style. We ain't talking about that style right now. We talking about the styling in WordPress on your theme when it comes to your colors and your fonts and other attributes. Right now, we're looking at the colors and color palettes, right? Different ways that we can show like, oh, wow, okay, I can just click this button and I automatically get a new style, a new set of colors added, which is pretty cool. I love that. And depending on what full site editing theme you're using, they're gonna have different styles pre-made for you ready to go. These are basically templates, y'all. Just letting y'all know, there's a whole bunch of different terminologies in WordPress being used now. And I can guarantee you most of those terminologies, for the most part, are just another word for templates. They're just templates. So we have our different styles here, and then we even have our palettes here. So if I click this, so see how I got styles, I got palettes, and I can just easily click this button and just preview, and the whole site changes just like that, really, really fast. So that's pretty cool. Keep that in mind. Now we have what's called a style book. You can get to the style book from many different areas. I'm just showing you one quick way to get to the style book. So here's one way to get to the style book. And the style book is another area where you're setting your website up in a global way. So you're pretty much doing a set it and forget it move. You are saying, hey, I want my headings to look like this, to have this font, to have this size. And anytime that I'm on a page or a post or I'm creating something new in WordPress, it should still follow that guideline, that rule book. We'll call it that. You know, a guideline or a rule book, however you want to phrase it. That's the whole purpose of this style book, is so that you can create this global or universal feel of your website, and then you can tap back into it as you want to. I think that's pretty dope, and it makes a lot of sense once you start getting used to it. So we have everything from our text styles, different type of texts here that we can change and make sure that when we add it to a page, it goes that way. It doesn't just go this random way that we didn't choose before, but it goes the way we want it to go because we set it up here in our style book. We have our media here as well, how you want your media to look, everything from images to even your audio player, cover files, text, video, your video player. Then we have design, which contains your buttons and your columns and your groups, so you can style all this up as you want to. And then we even got widgets. And with widgets, again, you can create a global or universal feel with them that makes it so much easier when you're building out your pages or your posts in WordPress later. Boom, you set it here and everything should look the way it should look based on what you set here. Now, here's the thing. And then we also have the theme. But the reason why I said here's the thing is because a lot of people don't take the time before they go in here to iron out the kinks in their branding or their brand identity. And if you actually take the time to create, to craft, to build your brand identity, you can use AI as an assistant. There are templates out there. We have a template ourselves. Whatever route you decide to go, that should be the tool, the asset that you use in order to be able to say, okay, when I get in here, I'm not stuck. When I get in here, I'm not just guessing things. When I get in here, I can take from what I have in the brand identity or my brand guidelines, whatever you want to call it, and you can use that in order to set up your styling here in the style book. So that's a key thing that I think a lot of people don't take into account before they even get to this style book area. They don't do their due diligence when it comes to their branding. And I can't tell you how much that'll save you a lot of time and effort. So I'm going to click this WordPress logo here to go back. And now we're back in the styles area right here. Now, if I click edit styles instead of the style book, because before I just clicked on the style book, now I'm clicking on edit styles. So now you see how the only thing that happened was that left sidebar just moved out the way on some ludicrous move. Get out the way. It just moved out the way, right? So now we have, again, Gutenberg. Even though we're not technically building out a page, we're not technically building a post, but we still are in the WordPress editor, aka Gutenberg. And that's something that they strive to do, WordPress and the WordPress team, to make it more uniformed. Now, there are a lot of people that have their opinions about this experience on making things uniform, that it kind of feels incomplete and it still feels kind of like it's everywhere. I'm gonna save that for new videos or for other videos, but I'm just giving y'all a little bit of that Blues Clues right there. I was born in the 80s, but I'm a 90s baby, so if you know anything about Blues Clues, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so now we're here. On this right side here, we have browse styles, typography, colors, shadows, and layouts. And remember how I said you can get back to the style book from multiple places? Well, if I click this button here, look at that. We have the style book again. So that's something that I do like about WordPress, that they did find some really, really great ways to allow you to get to the same place from different areas, depending on where you're at. But you can always end up in the same location. You can always end up in the same direction. And that's kind of cool. So let's go back here. Let's click on Browse Styles and see we have those styles that we saw before when we had that left sidebar over here. So let me click back here. And then if I click typography, we can see that we have our fonts right here. If you click on this Manage Fonts button, you have your library. You can upload fonts and you can install fonts with Google Fonts, which is pretty dope. I'm gonna go back here. Colors, same thing. I have the palette. Remember how we saw that palette before? So we have our color palette right here. We have our palettes. We can create more, and we have our gradients. This is pretty dope, y'all. This is pretty dope because WordPress didn't always have this. Then we have our elements, our text, our background, our link, our captions, our button, our headings. This looks familiar. Where else do we see this at? Well, right here, we saw it in the style. We saw it in the text, right? That's big. That's big. And some things in the design. So just letting you know that that's pretty huge when you're looking at the fact that we can get to multiple places from the same area. I'm going to close it out. We'll go back. And now we have shadows. This is also pretty dope to be able to have these shadows. And I'm talking to people who don't know how to code, don't want to learn how to code, never knew how to code. Coding ain't happening. It ain't happening with them. This stuff right here is what's going to help you avoid having to code, having to have extra things help you out in this. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Even though you don't like to code or you don't have to code, let me drop you a gem real quick. You can always go to ChatGPT or Claude at the time of this video, because Claude is doing better right now. I rock with them both. I use them both. I actually have them check each other. You know, who's watching the Watchmen? You know what I'm saying? Who's doing the checks and the balances? I have them check each other like they cousins. They check on each other. It helps me out even more. So you got to think about that. If you don't want to code, you need something else to help compensate with that. Either you're going to use some type of AI or you're going to use a native feature or an external feature so you don't have to do any coding to get the customization that you need for your website. I'm going to click back here, and then we have layouts. So we have our layout so we can determine how the spacing is with our website, how wide, how thin it is, all those nuances, we can determine that, and we also can add a background image. So that's what layout is all about. The content, the width, the padding, the margins, the list goes on and on and on. Then we also have blocks, so we can customize the appearance of our blocks. We can make our blocks in a template form, so we can say, okay, with this block, we always want it to be this way. Every time I drag this block from the block editor right here, or from the, what do they call this? the block inserter. So every time I drag a block from the block inserter, it's gonna take the settings, the way I set it up, it's gonna take that setting right here and it's already gonna be there. Time saver. And we're all trying to save time, especially when we are doing things ourselves or we don't have time. You ain't got time, then you're trying to save time. Either you're spending time to save money or you're spending money to save time. But you can't have both. So you have to keep that in mind, all right? So I'm gonna click out of that right there. And then for people who wanna add a little bit of code, some styling to it, some styling code. That's what CSS is all about. That's where, as I mentioned, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, alternative, you can add CSS right here. Just go to one of those tools, have it whip you up something, and then have it help you add the CSS right here. I mean, it's so crazy. You can even take a picture and say, hey, here's the picture. I need you to help me add some code into it, and it will create code from an image. Come on, y'all. We got to think smarter, not harder. So let me get out of this real quick. I'm going to exit out of the styles. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense when it comes to your styling with the website and customizing your WordPress theme to give you the feeling that you want before you start building out your pages. You can always come back here and change things, but this is a way you can customize it to give you that feeling that you want before you start building out your pages. So let's go back. Let's go back. What did Leah say? Back and forth. All right, now we have pages here. So we did the navigation, we did the styles. Let's do the pages here. So here we have pages. If I wanted to add a new page, I can add a new page here. You can also add a new page in the WordPress admin area. So I guess technically this will be the site editor, and then when we go back, it's technically the WordPress admin area. I'm not that keen on the terminology, so if I mess up, y'all, go ahead and correct me. It's all good as long as you know what I'm talking about. But if I wanted to add a new page, I can add a new page here. But that's not what this is about. Templates. So here we have templates. Now, the way that templates is being used here, in my opinion, it can be a little confusing because you have things called templates here, but then you also have patterns, which are also templates. So it's just that thing where it's like, I mean, terminology, we got to get it together, WordPress, but it's all good. Now, when it comes to, let's go back. For those who are wondering, well, how do I add my logo? And you can always go to settings and you can add your site icon, your logo right here. This is where you can add your site icon, your logo, your favicon. You can add that right here in your settings. So just give you that quick thing right there. Now, if I go back to themes and I activate Cadence, so remember, we were using a block-based theme before. Now we're gonna see the experience from using a traditional theme or a classic theme. We're talking about this without a page builder. We have no page builder on here. This is all natural WordPress, all natural. That's what it is right here. That's what we're seeing. All right, so now that we have Cadence activated, as you can see, we have more options. We have patterns, we have customize, we have widgets, we have menus, we have Cadence themselves, and then we have the theme file editor. We didn't see these options when we had the 2024 theme activated. So I wanna let you know that is a big difference. When it comes to customizing Cadence, the theme, you would click on this button called Customize. And this goes for any theme, traditional classic theme. Click on Customize. And now we're here in the old school way of customizing your theme. Now, some might say this is their favorite way. This is how it should be, but that's okay. But this ain't what it is, and this ain't what it's going to. So we have colors and fonts. If I wanted to customize my colors and fonts, I would go here, boom. We have our colors. We can add color palettes right here, multiple color palettes. Every theme is gonna look a little different, but I'm just giving you the gist, just the gist. So if you're using a different theme, it may look a little different, but you'll still be back here in the customizer if you're using a traditional theme. We have our buttons. We can customize our buttons here, and then we have our typography. We can customize our typography here as well. So that's key that you need to know when it comes to customizing your theme, depending on the route you wanna go, whether it's the full site editing, block-based theme route, or it's the traditional classic theme route, you're gonna have a different experience, and you need to understand that and know that, because if you don't, you're gonna get frustrated and you're gonna get lost like the lost boys in the woods. You don't wanna get lost. It's lonely when you're lost. Sometimes you don't get found. So I'm just letting you know that's what you wanna do. Adding your favicon or your site icon, you can add that right here. You can change your page and your post layout. So remember how we did the layout when it came, I said the padding and the margins and the layout when we came to full site editing theme? Here's how you would do it with a traditional theme or a classic theme. And again, depending on the theme you're using, these tabs here or these menu items here, they're gonna vary. They're gonna change depending on what theme you're using. So don't get stuck on looking at this and you're using a different theme and you like, Maestro done stood me wrong. I don't see what he sees. That's what I'm telling you. You're gonna see something different if you're using a different theme, but it will be very familiar. It will be similar. I'll put it like that. It'll be similar. So we have colors and fonts, we have the page layout, header and footer area here. With Cadence, what I like about them, and there's other things that do the same thing, is it's a drag and drop header and footer area. So right now I'm in the header, drag and drop. I can move these things, boom, boom, boom. I'll go into this deeper on the official course, but that's what you can do. We have the footer, same thing, drag and drop. So I can even add a little widget here. Look at that, look at that. Look how smooth that is, boom. What else we got? Menu, we wanted to update our menu and add more navigation here. We can do that here as well. There's another place in WordPress where you can do that as well too. CSS, remember how I showed you how we can add CSS to the full site editing theme? This is how you would do it with Cadence. So there is very much some similarity or overlapping functionalities between the two routes. You just have to understand the difference. That's pretty much it. And that's what I wanted to show you in this lesson for Start Fresh on WordPress. And hopefully you got some value out of this lesson, and we're gonna rock out the next lesson. My name is Maestro Stevens with Iconic Templates, and I'm out. Peace.